You can do some close-ups, do some reaction shots.
And I'm trying every way I can to not nerd out.
Don't worry about it.
Because
All you want.
I've been a fan.
Don't say it, man. Don't say it.
Don't start it that way?
Don't start it that way.
Oh, is it because you guys have been doing this for...
We do better with hostility. We do better with a negative work environment.
Oh, okay. Why are you still on the road?
Right.
Why do you still keep touring? Come on, man.
We need a hostile work environment.
Come on, go back to writing your kids' songs for Disney.
Thank you, Avi.
I get my first question is just, you guys have been doing this and have been strong for so many years now. Do you have a secret?
I don't think we have a secret. I think in a weird way, we don't think about what we're doing that much while we're doing it. It's not like we're thinking like, oh, the history of They Might Be Giants is this or that. But when we do rounds of interviews, we often get asked, how, you've been going for X number of years. How do you keep on doing what you're doing? And it dawned on me recently that I think there might be actually something slightly middle class about what we do, which is that we do approach what we're doing a bit like a job. Like we keep reasonable expectations for ourselves. We try not to get too manic and crazy about it. And we try to be consistent in our output and sort of our workflow. And with that, I guess, working for 25 years plus or whatever has not seemed so strange to us. But of course, in the history of rock bands, most rock bands last 5 years, 10 years max, unless they have incredible success. I mean, that's the other thing, is that we haven't really had so much success that it's a no-brainer. It's actually, there have been times that our career has been a struggle. So I don't think we really are sure how we keep it going or keep it together. And, but it's been fun. They Might Be Giants is a fun band to be in. There's some happy perks to it.
You've had so many, ups and downs, like you said, successes and struggles. Looking on the hindsight of it, do you envy that more, the fact that you've gone that way, versus if like you had come out and been huge and then 5 years later just disappeared?
Well, one of the weird things about being in a band for 30 years is you actually see a lot of other bands rise and fall. Most bands have very typical band arcs, even if they're much more successful. And within the 29 years that we've been going at it, we've been introduced to lots of bands basically as baby bands, and then seen them blow up and then implode. So it is very strange. And there are times when you go, hey, remember that band that opened for us? They got like the #1 song in the country. Wish we were them. And then, a couple of years later, it's like, you hear about those guys? One of them came after the other one with a knife, and it's like, glad we're not them. So, we're just kind of doing our little, tortoise routine. We're just kind of taking the low road.
And right now, your career is in a wonderful spot because you have so many different routes. I mean, you have the traditional route where you're putting out the songs that the first generation fans love, and then you're doing show business work of theme songs and
we are doing show business work, yes.
And then you're also doing wonderful music with kids and kids music, and getting the people who are huge fans of yours when they were in college and still today. Now their kids are just as big a fans of yours as well.
Yeah, it's hard to say. One of the strange side effects of doing kid stuff that's on television is that you actually reach a infinitely wider audience than you do in the world of alternative rock. There are lots of people who are very confused to find out that we had a career before we were doing children's music. There's a whole set of listeners who were introduced to us through PBS kid stuff and Disney kid stuff just being on the air. Our biggest iTunes songs are the 2 songs that are featured on the Mickey Mouse Club. And trust me, the millions of people who purchase those things are not all just retired They Might Be Giants adult rock music fans. They're people who watch TV and they like those songs and their kids like those songs, and has really almost nothing to do with us except for the songs themselves. And then there's another kind of unusual side effect of this kid stuff, which is there are kids who forgot the No album when they were like 4, and now they're 14 or 15 years old, and they've never not known They Might Be Giants. Like in many ways, we're in our own small, pitiful way, like the Beatles were to us. They grew up in a sort of a wraparound world of They Might Be Giants music.
It's been a constant throughout their life.
Yeah, and they're coming to shows now, and it's like, we're often their first concert, and it's a very weird thing to have these kids who are basically, we like to think of them as sleeper cells, but no, we have a very unusual, unorthodox career for sure.
And it's and your fan base also. It's not like I can go out and I can see millions of They Might Be Giants fans, but I can go to any town in America, I could throw a dart somewhere and talk to 100 people, and I will find, out of any 10 people, or out of 100 people in any town, big or small, I will find at least 10 They Might Be Giants fans.
They are legion, as they say. But I think we have kind of an interesting kind of fan base. I don't like making too many assumptions about where they're at, because there's as much difference between them as there is the difference that they have from like the mainstream culture. I think there are a lot of people who are into what we do for very specific reasons that really are more reflect their own temperament than ours. A lot of people think of us as a party band. They think of it as like this super rowdy, good time kind of music. And then there are other people who are very, really dig in and think of it as like this sort of more philosophical thing. So we don't really prejudge what it's good for. We kind of are just involved in our own creative process and hope people enjoy it.
I probably would fall into that latter category because if someone were to come to me and say, hey, explain to me They Might Be Giants, the only thing I can ever say is they're my definition of alternative, because I can't quite put a specific sound. It's a mix of just about everything, and it's a style of just about everything. But when I think of They Might Be Giants, I think of you guys just doing your own thing and not doing what would be a mainstream, kind of what the music industry would say. Well, your first songs are going to be like this, and then your second one's like this, and then you're going to have a couple of these songs. You do what you want to do, which is alternative in the music world.
I guess that's right. But I feel like in many ways, we're very much we're very inside American culture, and we're very, we're kids who spend a lot of time in the suburbs. And I don't think we feel so outside of what people understand. It might be different in kind of a lot of music is popular music is really hung up on authenticity trips and trying to sort of present yourself like you've just emerged from some cave of rockabilly-ness or some cave of ska-ness or whatever. And we've never done that. And I think that a lot of people sort of they see a little bit of themselves in there. They're at our shows. I mean, I've said years ago this thing happened that was kind of interesting to me. We were at a show where there was actually like a guy wearing a Pearl Jam shirt, and I think it's really unclear whether or not he was wearing a Pearl Jam shirt ironically or sincerely. And I think there's a certain I wouldn't want to assume that we're the only kind of music anybody listens to, anyone in our audience listens to. There's a wide diversity of people involved. Even there's this crazy thing with when you on Facebook, you can if you run a Facebook page like They Might Be Giants Facebook page, you can get the demographic of who their followers are, or who your friends are, however they term it. We have 200,000 people who are subscribed to our Facebook page, and the actual demographic split is bizarre. I mean, it actually starts. It's like 17 to 50 of absolutely equal numbers. There's just and that's exactly the kind of thing when people say like, good for all ages. The first thing you think is, that's a lie. And so it's so surprising to actually see something that has no visible spike in it. It's just this big blob of adults that follow the band.
When was the first time that you guys realized, hey, we're going to be around for a while?
Well, I think the crucial moment that we probably could have felt like we were easing into something was actually our biggest professional challenge, which was not. It was not. I don't want to connect the dots too completely because I don't think it's quite as biographically clear. When we signed with Elektra in 1990, there was never a doubt in our mind that we would stay with Elektra forever. Like, we always knew we were going to leave. We were going to part from Elektra at some point, and it might even have been sooner than later. But we figured we'd come out on the other side of it better off than we did when we started. And that was very true. We were on Elektra. We had a very glorious run with them. We were on Elektra for almost a decade, or almost exactly a decade, I think. The thing that happened to us after that was that we weren't getting paid enough on the road to really make money. We weren't making a profit on the road. We were kind of running at a slight loss, and we didn't really have our record deal set up in a solid way. So there was this interval where the harder we worked, the broker we got. And that was right around 17 years into it or so. And that's, I think, when we realized that we had to sort of change it up and find other avenues of work, as well as just like being a professional rock band. That's when we started doing stuff with the Jon Stewart Show, and we started doing Malcolm in the Middle, and we started doing incidental music for television, which was certainly a godsend for us financially, because I don't think we at that point it would have been like, it's just not working.
In a way,
otherwise.
You know how most